So I see this brother Killer P he's come on. I hope he goes, because he is one of the prime examples of why I do this kind of work. But I'll save that video because I am going to speak about it. It's about when you have women movements that are about protecting women. Movements, for example, like Afua Rose's movement. She's a lady who exposes rapists on her platform, right? So she's got a lot of women who come and speak about their assaults. And needless to say, that attracts a lot of negativity. But sometimes the people who seem to be part of the team, this is how vulnerable womanhood is. Sometimes the very person who seems to be supporting, like the Killer Peas, they're not really supporting. That's how vulnerable womanhood is. You will be out here rocking a cause that says, we say no to rape. And you will have a brother beside you who is saying that on camera. But when they're off camera, anti. And I colossally don't have any feelings about speaking out about things like that. Because those are the kind of people that not only adult women need to be protected from. Those are the kind of people that our children, our female and male children, need to be protected from. And the reason is this: they are agents in our midst. They are the ones who seem to be pro the well-being, pro the safety of women. And as you know, whenever women experience assault, it's usually someone they know. So when you have people who have agent type mentalities, like a symbol of someone with an agent like mentality is like Little Red Riding Hood, the wolf, or the Three Little Pigs, the wolf. You get what I'm saying? All them stories. The wolf is the agent. The wolf is the one who will knock on the pig's door and say, let me in, you know, but really he's trying to eat them. That's what Killer P is on. And that is what a lot of the men within the various communities that stand up and speak about these issues, it's like, what do they call it? Snake under grass or wolf in sheep clothing. And as a mother myself, and as a Jamaican woman, in Jamaica, women protect rapists a lot. My mother is one of them. I literally put some documentaries out. You can go onto YouTube or go to my website, linneaofficial.com. You will see 8 documentaries that I made last year. And about 3 of them, I do speak about sexual assault. And I also speak about why women are so supportive of predators and how dangerous that is. And that ties into the reason why I Love My Womb is not a sisterhood, it's a womanhood. It's about women taking autonomy and responsibility for themselves in the knowing that they may not be able to trust the woman beside them just because she's a woman. You understand? And I know this sounds, for some people, it's a bit controversial. Blessings, Dee. Blessings. I appreciate that. Because I know this isn't going to sit well with a lot of people. But I also know that I have been on this planet long enough. And I don't see the point in... what's the point in not being honest? Where is it going to take you? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, where are you trying to go? Where are you trying to get to? And as a womb ambassador, like... as an ambassador of self-love in her many different forms, whether it's men loving themselves, women loving themselves, one thing that's central to self-love is integrity. When people can't have integrity and just be real and honest about things, they are dangerous, okay? You know that we cannot swear for people, right? But the least thing we want is some kind of integrity. As a black woman, one thing I've experienced is a lot of downplaying of the issues that women on a whole experience of all races and backgrounds. I find that many of the men in my community just want us to shut up and put up, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's sexual violence, emotional violence, narcissism, which is a big one, right? Because for the past 8 years, just me doing divination and astrology, etc., there's been a lot of people that have come forward with narcissistic relationships that they need to free themselves from. I found that speaking up as a woman that comes from a very toxic culture, it can make the men think that they're being pinpointed as opposed to the culture. And so you have two responses. One is total denial. Well, three. One is support and love. One is total denial. And the third response is to pretend to be in support. But behind closed doors, it's all the daggers, it's all the machetes, it's all the knives, you know. So I'm glad he came on, and I'm glad I said that, because I thought I'd blocked him, but I'm not really playing games, you know, with anyone at any time. Yeah, we're not doing that. Because when it comes to it, as I said, there is a vulnerability around being a woman, even if we often don't experience it, if we don't want to acknowledge it. It's not a shameful thing. It's a part of how we were created. But it doesn't mean that we should relinquish our boundaries. We should relinquish the power that we do have. And it definitely doesn't mean that we should stop expressing ourselves. Now, for me, I Love My Womb isn't there to address any of these issues in isolation. I Love My Womb is not an activism movement. It's a self-love movement. I'm a love myself in spite of what I've experienced. I'm going to love myself because of what I've experienced. I'm going to love myself through it all, every menstrual period I've had. If I've had a miscarriage, anything, I'm going to love myself through it. Some of us were late starters. We didn't start having relationships till quite late. There was a lot of insecurity. Some of us, we started early. There's many different journeys that women can take. And this isn't about saying this was right and you were wrong and that lifestyle is good. And that's not my concern. I literally am more concerned with people feeling comfortable in their skin. And the reason is because I spent a lot of years before not feeling comfortable in my own skin and not even being clear that I wasn't comfortable. Do you get what I'm saying? And when I started to feel comfortable in my own skin, I'm like, oh, so you were just grossly uncomfortable. Blessings to my cousin. My beautiful cousin, a different individual. She's a young woman. Do you get what I'm saying? She's 18. I got to speak up. I've got young women in my family that need representations of how we woman. I've got young women in my family that need representations of how we stand up for what's right, regardless and in spite of and because. You get what I'm saying? I am not like fresh out of school. I'm literally guiding younger people. I spent years guiding clients, you know. And then since last year, I was like, I need to focus on my family. I need to focus on the people that I'm literally ancestrally indebted to, you know. So I do support, but I tend not to be, like if I support someone, I'm not going to be there every day. I'm not going to march with you every day. I can't do that because I have my own things to do. What I realized is that the reason why sometimes women don't want to come together to do certain things is because they've had abrasive experiences, not necessarily of men. Sometimes these experiences that they've had are of each other. Some women find other women to be very disloyal. Some women have experienced very traumatic experiences with women. So when you start talking about loving your womb and sisterhood, they're like, do you know what some women have put me through? That's why the emphasis for me has not been sisterhood. Because at the end of the day, when we all come off this live tonight, we all have to go to bed with our own thoughts and feelings. We have to deal with our minds. We have to deal with our hearts. And having a sisterhood it's neither here nor there. We have to take care of ourselves. And when we feel balanced, when we feel connected to ourselves, when we feel at peace, then we can develop similar relationships with those around. But if we're feeling warful all the time and angry and fighting, what kind of sisterhood are we going to be able to offer to the other? So I love my womb. It's not about that. Because oftentimes, and I'm saying this because I know women need to hear me say this, because you want to be acknowledged as well. And you know, many of you women, that you've had abrasive experiences with women. And just because someone is a woman doesn't mean they wish you well, doesn't mean they're your friend. So the idea that it's men that make women vulnerable and women don't make other women vulnerable is just not true. We are a vulnerable species and anyone can make us vulnerable, ourselves or men. And we have to be clear about that so we can protect ourselves properly. We need to have no illusions. I even said on my live stream yesterday, try not to repeat the same conversation because I do want to share some of it, but if this is the introduction of I Love My Womb, I have to touch on certain things. Black, white, purple, or blue. Man, woman, girl, or boy. There is good and corruption across humanity. I wish I could choose one of those boxes and look at this little child. I wish I could choose one of those boxes and say, if you're a woman, perfect, I can trust you. Or if you're a man, or if you're black, or if you're white, whatever the case is. But the truth is, I can't do that. I know regardless of how someone looks, you could look just like me. You could have the same gender. You could be a different race, same gender. Nothing pre-qualifies you as good. And how did I learn that? I learned that through experience. I think I did initially believe certain things. Like I thought, like I thought to myself, black people are a safe place, or women are a safe place, or whatever the thing is. And it's just not true. I can tell you as a diviner, as a yoga teacher, you know what I'm saying? No matter what hat I want to put on, I have experienced thousands of clients, thousands, who have had to come to this very humbling realization on their own. And I encourage it. I encourage that realization that the only safe place is you and those people who you've screened, who you know they're good people. Now imagine this. I came on my Instagram to talk to my audience and I see an agent and I call him out because I saw me tan, Kamiza big woman. I'm not inflammatory, but I'm also not going to just lie down and take foolishness. And before the man take away himself, let me speak English. Before he take away himself, he wants to stay on my live, listen and say, I'm going to talk about you on Sunday. I don't care. I don't watch that guy's content. He is an agent. An agent means you are a wolf in sheep's clothing. And when it comes to women's issues, that is one of the most scariest things that someone can be. Do you get what I'm saying? A wolf in sheep's clothing. Anyone who wants to make content about me, go ahead, because I know that speaking of me is going to elevate your work, and I wish you guys well. You know what I'm saying? That's it. So as I said, with this I Love My Room, it's not what do I want to say? We're not being good to make other people feel uncomfortable or comfortable. We're not saying what other people want to hear so they are comfortable. Yeah? We're being true to ourselves. And the reason why we're doing that is because